Okay, go ahead.
Cool. So what I'm really interested to know, and we've talked about this, and we've talked about how much we would love to really hear what you have to say about this, is as well as anyone could possibly answer this. What do you think? Well, what would a summer of love look for us today? If there was a summer of love in San Francisco now,
Mm-hmm.
uh, given everything about, I mean, in the world we live in right now,
Sure.
and for this generation,
Okay.
what would that look like? As someone who was, you said you were 21 years old during the summer of love.
Right.
My goodness. And
Yeah, perfect.
yeah, what would you do? What would it take for us to have something like that? And what is it that we would need to do?
Okay, I think I got the answer.
Yeah. Okay.
I would go up to the Great Meadow, where there are probably 400 or 500 millennial folks standing, drinking their brew,
Uh-huh.
and playing games that are competitive, with dice and with chugging beers and throwing balls into holes, into these wooden containers. So a variety of games like that. I'm not sure I know the names of them. But what I would
Cornhole.
do is get rid of all of those and get rid of the drinking. Have them sit down, loosen their collars, and I would walk through and talk to the groups of people and tell them to get up and go sit. Forget about safe distancing. Go over and sit next to the group that you was immediately 15 or 10 feet away from you and introduce yourselves. In other words, I would try to create a social milieu in which they feel comfortable and relaxed. And then maybe substitute for the drinking, the excessive drinking, because a lot of them are absolutely shit-faced. And they leave huge messes of these containers.
Yeah.
So I would say, well, let's spread some weed around so that people can smoke, hash, or whatever your preference is. And no hard drugs particularly.
Right.
Enjoy the weather, and let's have some dancing. Maybe have strolling musicians winding their way through, kind of like when people dance and they hold each other's waist and form a line. What is that?
Okay.
Line
Conga
dancing?
line.
Line dancing.
Or conga line? Yeah.
Conga line.
Yeah.
Conga line.
Yeah. You're right,
They
yeah.
do this on these cruise ships.
Right.
Because all of a sudden,
Yeah.
we're talking, wife and I, and suddenly there are 20 people walking by doing a samba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get up and join the last person and
Yeah.
wind around. And it's suddenly you've created an environment that's fun. And people
You
were
created a
just,
movement.
Yeah, they were just sort of quiet and serene, and now you've got excitement. So in other words, what we need up there is some excitement that is not about being drunk.
Right.
It's about meeting new people.
Right.
And,
Connection with.
and maybe dancing. There are these big pillows that people, inflatable pillows that people are bringing, where you just sort of lounge down it, and several people can be on one. I think that's a great advantage, a great idea to create this kind of freedom of your body. To be lying on top of someone, and someone else comes over, and then they're lying on the next person.
Yeah.
So it brings about this fun, this kind of childlike behavior.
Yes.
We need to get these serious techies
Right.
to unload.
Form a puppy pile.
Yeah, a puppy pile. That's what we are. And I'd have Otto there. They say, misbehave. Hey,
Yeah.
cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that would be a start.
Right.
And I say that
Right.
because it's right here, and I know what's going on there, and I used to kind of wander through it, and was so amazed at the behavior.
Yeah.
Specifically that 400 people are standing.
Yeah.
Just in their phones,
Yeah.
I mean.
Or in a
whatever.
group, but
Yeah.
standing, not
Yeah.
relaxed.
Right.
You're at the park, lie down,
I see.
get your blankets out,
Get to know a goose.
sprawl out. Like for example, when there is something in the park, like Comedian Day or 420 Day where everybody's smoking weed, everybody's sprawled out, and it's like you're in some kind of dormitory. Everybody relaxed.
Yeah, being relaxed around each other.
Yeah.
Right. Not
Relaxed on each
not
other.
just posturing towards each other the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And not in your best fineries. But maybe you've got your torn jeans and your t-shirt. You're not formally dressed for
Right.
this event.
Right.
You have to create a casual atmosphere every way you can.
Right.
Music, strolling musicians, maybe a food vendor, coming through with Eskimo pies.
Eskimo pies.
Yeah.
What are those?
Oh, Eskimo pies are wonderful, like a popsicle, but it's vanilla ice cream, dipped in chocolate and nuts.
Yeah.
I want one right now.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
They're really good. And so something like that, or a cone that's dipped in nuts.
Sure.
One
Yeah.
of my favorites.
Yeah.
They create an atmosphere of playfulness.
Yeah. Right.
So we can forget about the office, forget about our tech job.
And how you look on social media.
Yeah, right.
And how everything is one big social media photo op.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And not Twitter about it, and not.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Hey, I'm out here at the park with my friends.
For so long now, it's become this epidemic of people spoiling everything in their lives.
Right.
With this live tweeting, and everything's got to be on their page.
Hey, I'm in the toilet
it's
right
like,
now.
It's like at no point do you just sort of naively live your life.
Yeah.
I've got a question about the music stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think is the importance of having live musicians strolling around versus like having a boombox and playing something that way?
I don't like the boom boxes because they're intrusive.
Yeah.
And I may not like your music, and I often don't.
Yeah.
But I'm forced because I'm 20 feet away to listen to that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Until you leave. So I think that's not right.
Yeah.
The strolling musician is not with you 24/7. It's like you're in the restaurant and the guy comes over. Would you like a serenade?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And then he's gone.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't overwhelm. A person's selection shouldn't overwhelm your personal space.
Yeah.
And your ability to enjoy your time without something that's oppressive.
Yeah.
I also think that music that's being made afresh in that moment by people who are in that space in real time, it's going to be much more of some kind of response to what's happening around.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The sensibility of at least how it's being played. Even if it's the same song they were going to play no matter what, they'll play it a little bit differently when they see that there's more of an appetite for loudness or less so.
Yes.
And if it's this pre-packaged, pre-recorded thing, you really are grafting something onto the moment. You're not really participating in it the same way. Yeah.
There's a segment of Saturday Night Live with what's his name? It's important to know this guy. Christopher Walken.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you know Christopher Walken.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
And hysterical. I mean,
and hysterical.
I'm surprised we've never talked about.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
It's crazy.
Beautiful. So he has a group.
I thought you'd be more impressed.
Yeah, I am impressed.
Thank you. Now we can move on.
I am.
That's all I wanted.
I'd like to be able to know how to do that.
Years of practice, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So
The segment,
Please, yeah,
the segment
Save it for myself.
is that they'd have a few of their star players pretending to be a musical band, or they would be having a musical band, and then Walken would say, how does he do it?
Oh, with the cowbell?
Yeah, the cowbell. You know about the cowbell.
More cowbell. And so the cowbell is cutting through everything, and it's so obnoxiously loud. And the guy's going, really? Is this enough? He goes, look, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Yeah.
And
so he keeps doing
very
that,
iconic,
and the band is frustrated because it's just a very oppressive sound.
Yeah.
Cuts
Right.
through
Right. And no matter what, he only wants more of it.
Yeah. So why I bring that up is people would stroll through Golden Gate Park with tambourines and cowbells. So and maybe there would be a guitarist. So there'd be this makeshift bands that would just start because people would have a flute or a recorder.
Right. They just collide and coalesce, and then
I wish I could. Well, there are some videos that do show you this.
Yeah.
I think Channel 5 has a good video of the hippie movement.
We'll look
PBS might have
afterwards,
some. People had the foresight to film these events, segments of them, and I always look for them because they bring it back to me. Like for what you're doing now, for example, see, there might be with you maybe 15 people, head to head in a circle, just talking to each other. Just having a grand
I used to do that when I was a kid with my friends.
Yeah.
And we'd pile up on each other like in this way.
Yeah, me too.
But see, it doesn't seem appropriate. better to stand up.
Right. Everyone's got to be their own little island,
And
right?
hold my phone in my ear.
Right? Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
you know, spend 2 hours, okay, that's enough.
Right.
And leave.
Right. Right.
You have to go up there and see this.
Yeah. We should take a field trip.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's rather remarkable.
Let's do it. Yeah.
You can start a conga line and we'll get a few.
We'll bring it.
That's yeah.
I'll bring Otto.
So the next thing I want to ask you about, Alex, is that you know, because I mean, the hippie movement, it's a countercultural movement.
Yep.
You know, they're looking at the Vietnam War, going, no, we're not going to do that.
We're not gonna do that.
We're going to do this.
Yep.
And I think the beatnik, from what I understand, is a similar thing. Very different aesthetics, very different
Right.
principles, but the same idea of I'm not doing that. I am going to do this. And so what I really want to ask you is, if your own artwork, if you've ever viewed it as countercultural, not just that you're doing what you're doing, but you're doing what you're doing because you don't want to do some other thing that's prescribed and is sort of part of the orthodoxy.
I'm what they call in the art world an outsider. And sometimes they'll have shows of outsider artists. In other words, we're not, I've had some formal training, but we're not cookie cutter graduate of any particular art school.
Yeah.
So
The Juilliard types. And
yeah.
what have you, yeah.
The benefit is that I'm bringing a lot of fresh stuff. No one said that I have to do this particular perspective, or I have to understand that this isn't shadowed properly.
Yeah.
This figure is not in the right shadow, this light. That used to drive me nuts.
Yeah.
I would do some of these anatomy art classes, and often the criticism would be, hey, well, what about the shadow?
Yeah.
It's not important to me.
Yeah.
Right. Right. The whole idea is you're creating whatever the heck you want to create.
I want the face of this model.
Yeah.
Heck
Yeah.
with their shadow.
Yeah.
I'm going to study your shadow? No.
Yeah.
So then I'd usually get in a fight with the teacher. Okay, you're contrary.
Yeah.
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 You're not with the flow.
Like the idea that art has rules,
Yeah.
and that a successful artist can show off how well they can follow them.
Right. And there are successful artists who are that kind of a product.
I mean Caravaggio, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and that's it's
Yes.
beautiful, right? But
Sure.
the idea that everyone has to be Caravaggio
Right.
just because Caravaggio happened one time,
Right.
I think it's a terribly oppressive kind of. Yeah.
But
And
they're two-
look at Modigliani deciding that the woman's neck was going to be elongated.
Yeah.
You know, that's not real.
Mhm.
He saw it differently. El Greco had some kind of possible eye astigmatism, and his figures are elongated when you look at them. So wait a minute, that's longer than it should be.
Right.
Perspective.
Right.
Like that long dachshund
Yeah.
that you showed and told about. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Although Luna is stem to
She is
stern 24 inches. She's 2 feet long. It's amazing. And 12 pounds. 12 pounds of piss and vinegar.
Okay.
And she runs the show. How you guys doing today?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Feather, man.
We're doing, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you remember the hat?
Of course.
All right, see? He's old enough to know.
You see, guys, you look like an older version of Leon Russell.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh.
I like that. Yeah, cool. Leon Russell, yeah, I've heard his name. Another one is Jethro Tull. There's so many
Yeah.
that had unusual hats and unusual facial hair so that they became, well, Frank Zappa is another.
Sure.
Known for their, Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah.
With
The hats, yeah. Slash
eyes.
from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
So, last question for today, anyway.
Yeah.
What in terms of the way that I'd like to hear you talk about the way you look at whatever it is that us youngins are doing today, and how it strikes you, and how you would square that with what your parents might have thought about what you were doing during the summer of love.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
and how much of it is just the generational perspective, let's say, and how much of it is really the fact that what those generations are doing, that young people in the summer of love, what they're doing is vastly, objectively different.
Sure.
But also that it's through the eyes of an older generation. You know, what does that kind of bring to mind for you?
My parents were very liberal about this. Not a lot of things, but their work ethic was different than mine, and I'm still ruminating about the differences there. Having a workaholic father, and me growing up as an academic kind of guy who worked if it was suitable.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
so we were often at odds. But they were very liberal in allowing me, especially in
Wow.
college, to have. Oh yes, come over.
First a goose
Oh,
and
wow.
now.
Hello, Dad.
Wait a minute, let me show my amulet.
Yeah.
Watch yourself. That's the raven, nevermore.
He means well, I believe.
Yeah. It's the Poe, Edgar Allan Poe sent him.
Yeah, right.
He's going to go deal with that goose.
I was gonna say, have you seen the goose?
Now
Now the raven shows up. The goose is already found. One can only surmise.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, the parents were very liberal in that regard, and I really thank them for that. They were more cautious with my sister as the girl in the family. She had more watchfulness approach, whereas I had more freedom, I think.
And that seems to be, I think, typical of many families out
Yeah,
there.
especially Italians.
Yeah, right, right.
So, how I would how I related to that, I appreciated the freedom. It led me to a path that I would not have found if I didn't have that permission. And I would be very liberal with kids if I had kids or grandkids, and show them things that I think are really important. You know, bring them to the beach.
Right.
Let's take a look at shells and sandblasts and let's have exposure to lots of people. Don't be afraid when Daddy says there's a neighbor. Don't go in back with Daddy and hide.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because I'm going to kick your butt out. I want you to meet that.
Yeah.
So with that sentiment in mind, you know, the way that, just what you're observing with younger people now, what I imagine you might say is that, you know, the liberalism that your parents had towards what you were doing, that I imagine you might not have the same, let's say, encouragement towards the way that younger people are deciding to live their lives now, which is to say sequestered, buried in their phones, the lack of socialization, and what seems like the lack of real, let's say, artistic risk-taking. It seems like it's just so much just dying on the hill of looking cool, and that it doesn't really seem to have this larger value system. There's no real movement tying things together.
I think you really summed it up very well. I'm glad you see that. And you're probably in a position at your age to be able to have more of an influence on the future, you know, with your own daughter, for example, hopefully, and maybe future children.
So, you know, do you feel like what you would like to sort of impart to, it sounds like such a, one of these, I don't know, like a Donahue question or something, right? But like, it seems like the kids today, right, need less of a green light to go be hippies and more of a finger wagging to go be hippies already. Like snap out of it and go do something fun, go do something, cut loose a little bit, right?
That's right.
As opposed to you guys were cutting loose and the parents were sort of giving their blessing if they got the idea, if they got what was going on, if they were sort of, you know, if they could see through just the wildness of it and see that there was something important happening.
Right.
It seems like we need some kind of movement now. Yeah.
And what would really help, for example, would be very wealthy entrepreneurs who are in their 30s, who are already billionaires, establishing a whole area for communal living. Forget about these expensive rent apartments. Let people pay a couple $100 a month to live communally with 10 other people. And cook your food together, or cook separately, but have the option of a communal kitchen. So like Tasahara, places like that, where people go for a weekend retreat, and they have moments of solitude, but they also have, you know, time in a hot tub together or whatever. So more communal understanding with somebody with a lot of bucks, who can say, you know, Bezos at Amazon makes enormous amount of millions of dollars in 5 minutes. I want to say, hey, give me 5 minutes of your worth. I'll be very happy. Just 5 minutes. So that kind of, I'm mad at the entrepreneurs that are billionaires because they're not advancing in a societal way, in a meaningful way. It's bullshit to go to Mars, I think, when we have homelessness and people starving. You know, people can't, you don't have enough pay at the end of the month to be able to feed their children. We don't need another Tesla. Let's invest in communal property great acreage with people in supervision and people who are able to establish a colony, someone in charge, minions to do the bidding,
Minions.
and have people.
I love it.
And have people try communal style living,
Yeah.
and not put so much emphasis on earnings.
Right. More Epicurean, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would allow for that
Right.
if we didn't have to worry about paying the mortgage. Or
Right.
paying the
Right.
He's back. Don't you agree with that? I think
yeah.
you do.
I've got one question about this scenario you're describing.
Yeah.
What role, if any, or amount of phones and technology and stuff in such a communal living or weekend retreat would be advisable or okay?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would like to say minimal.
Yeah.
But I know that when you deal with a great group of people, you're probably going to need some technological advantages. Perhaps I would say then to keep it at a bare minimum. In other words, to have a communication system, a phone system, but not. I think he wants ravioli.
Oh, well, I ate it all, unfortunately. Hope he doesn't want to lick my
We didn't
fingers.
save him any, much to his dismay now and displeasure.
Are you afraid of him?
Oh, slightly.
Really? Oh no, he's very gentle.
Okay.
Plus, they don't really have teeth, so it would be just like.
Why don't you go put your hand in his mouth?
I heard that they would bite people.
I've heard the same, yeah.
But I mean, it could just be a rumor. I don't know. It's a nice looking little lady.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
We're
yeah.
good. Yeah, I've got it.
Any further our final comments on this topic for now?
Simply to the technological advantages to a minimum.
Yeah.
To be able to function well, efficiently, but not going that extra mile.
Yeah.
To give everyone all of the latest features on their personal phone. Let's just be able to go back to the old flip phone, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
We don't need so many embellishments.
I always wonder if these communal places ought to just have these like kind of town hall centers.
Yeah.
Where they have like a large monitor that just tells you what you need to know in one place, so you don't have these things in your hand.
Right.
How about a bulletin board?
Something, yeah. Maybe just a
Whiteboard.
board.
Was that?
I like to imagine it not as a big gleaming screen, but rather something that somebody wrote out by hand.
Yeah,
or
even
printed
better.
out.
Even better.
People corresponded so much with flyers.
Yeah.
It seemed to carry us for a whole long time not to have digital things. I mean, thousands of years, and we're fine. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But specifically in the hippie movement, there were announcements made every day with a flyer.
Yeah.
And so people just kept abreast of the flyer. Hey, tonight, Straight Theater rave party, or a group of musicians coming in. It's open mic night.
Right.
Open mic night tomorrow for comedians.
Yeah.
So you had that awareness. It wasn't formalized. It wasn't generated. Well, we didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
It seems like that would contribute more to a heightened regard for people that you don't know, because you don't know who's going to be carrying the information that you want to have.
Right.
Where it's going to come about.
That's another point.
I hadn't thought about that.
Is that person safe?
Yeah.
Right. You can't be dismissive of other people in quite the same way. That they could all have some piece of the puzzle that you don't. Right. We've all got to work together. That's all the time that I've got.
Okay.
This has been
Thank
wonderful.
you. Yeah, unusual.
Yeah.
We'll continue this.
I mean, like right now.
All right.